Well, I think it's safe to say that it feels even sunnier in Edmonton with the news coming this week that Leon Draisaitl has signed an 8-year contract extension with the Edmonton Oilers. I'm so pleased to be joined by Bob Stauffer. And Bob, this is huge news all around. Just how positive is it for the Oilers that they were able to get this done?
Given the history of what a lot of fans, maybe a little bit older than you, but can appreciate with, watching Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier getting sold, and then watching Doug Weight and Bill Guerin getting traded in the early 2000s because the team couldn't afford to keep them at that time. And really, in the modern era, this is yet another illustration of the Oilers keeping their best players signed to max term like deals. So, I personally, I always believe there was a pathway to getting an 8-year deal done. I know we talked about that during the playoffs a couple times off air, and I think that Leon has incredible character. Yeah. So does Connor. That's part of those guys are committed, and they're all in, and they set the standard for the rest of the team. So the reality of the situation is Leon, the Oilers drafted him back in 2014. First 3 years on an ELC, then he signs an 8-year deal, and now he's signed another 8-year deal. He could conceivably play for the Edmonton Oilers for 19 seasons. And he's no worse than the second or third best player in the National Hockey League. And even he would tell you he has to defer to Connor, who we all know is the best player. So the reality is it's a mammoth day. But in this day and age in the National Hockey League, this is now 32 out of 38 times where star players have signed with their current team that they're with on those 8-year deals. And that's an advantage that Edmonton had in the negotiations. They could offer an 8-year deal. It was a year out. Obviously, there's a plan for Leon and for Connor and Evan Bouchard. Those all have to be factored in. But, when I tweeted out yesterday morning it was going to be a good day in oil country, I knew it was going to be a good day in oil country, and it was a good day in oil country.
I think that tweet really set the tone. I know I saw that and got very excited for what could possibly be going down. But Leon was also very quick to talk about how much he loves it here in Edmonton and how much Edmonton feels like home. They've really created something. Leon's a huge part of that. You mentioned Connor, Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, and Zach Hyman.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they've created that almost family-type atmosphere. He said it's difficult for players to leave. Just how invaluable is that to have?
Well, the biggest thing that's happened is they've created a winning environment, and they've got the horsepower of this arena and an amazing fan base. Yeah. The Oilers are in one of the less populous NHL cities. However, the organization has one of the biggest brands in the league. And it helps when you have Connor and Leon. Those are, again, two of the best top 3 or 4 players in the National Hockey League, and they are must-see TV. I think they're the most exciting team. We're privileged. We got to cover the most exciting team in the league. 2 years ago, they led the league in goal scoring. Last year, they finished, 4th overall or 5th overall, whatever it was. But and then the other thing is, for me, is as much as they've created. Leon was on my show yesterday on Oilers Now and talked about what's been created here, and he credited ownership and to a lesser extent management, because it is a new management group that's come in. But the reality is Connor and Leon have really helped elevate the rest of the team. This team in the last 3 years has played the second most amount of playoff games. Only Florida's played more, and the Oilers have the 3 highest scoring players in the playoffs over the last 3 years: Connor, Leon, and Evan Bouchard. And I know this. I know come crunch time, Connor and Leon, they're going to deliver in the playoffs. And people say, "Well, what happened in Game 7?" I'm like, it's a 2-1 game. Yeah. But that's going to drive them. You don't think that loss doesn't drive those guys carrying forward? When players know they have a chance to win, that greatly enhances the probability that you're going to be able to extend them. And the Oilers have as good a chance as anybody this year to win, and I think we all know that. And I think there's that expectation for the players as well. And then the other interesting thing that's going to happen here, because I know we got Leon done this summer, and next summer, we're all hoping that Connor and Evan Bouchard get done. But the organization, Jeff Jackson talked about this when he hired Stan Bowman, they're going to have to have best of practices, best of class practices, because they're going to have to grind like they've never grinded before to build a supporting cast around that lineup. But when you have players of that ilk, that attracts other players. So you end up getting a Jeff Skinner on a 1-year deal. So it was a real good day in terms of with Leon. I wasn't that surprised because I know Leon and I know what he values, and I will tell you, there's no way to underscore the value that he's brought to the Edmonton Oilers over the last decade plus.
Bob, often you hear elite athletes say that pressure is a privilege. Yesterday, Leon worded it saying that pressure is a responsibility, and he's excited to be able to embrace that responsibility as well. So you say the way that he's going to be able to deliver in playoffs, we know, we've seen it, and we can expect it again. Just how important was it for the Edmonton Oilers to, the timing-wise, to be able to get this done before the season gets going?
That's a great point by you. Like, we were in Penticton last year, and the Jets signed Hellebuck and Scheifele. Nobody expected that, right? Well, people were sitting there, and part of it's just Edmonton and the fact that there's that much more eyes on the Oilers. But everybody was watching what was happening here with Leon in August. And I think it's a real good thing that question mark gets completely taken right out of the mix. The Oilers got to focus on getting themselves ready for the start of the regular season and having a much better start to the year. The fact that the team played at I think they were the 5th best defensive team in the NHL under Chris Knobloch will help. Because, let's face it, the start to last year cost them home ice for a couple rounds in the playoffs. And I think that the Oilers, I believe if Edmonton wins finishes first in the division or leads the conference, it's going to go a long way to ensuring playoff success next season. So you want to eliminate any distractions, and the Oilers did that by getting this, and so did Leon, and so did Octagon by getting the 8-year extension done.
Does this put Edmonton on a positive trajectory moving forward? In what way do you see them moving forward?
Well, I already think they were on a positive because I believe that the deal was going to get done. But let's be pragmatic here. I think we know that you'd have to assume that Leon's talked to Connor. Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard were both represented by Jeff Jackson. Those guys are playing chess. They're already 2 or 3 steps ahead of this. We're going to enjoy the next several years here in Edmonton. There's going to be lots of playoff games. There's going to be more than one opportunity to go for it. And people like you and me are privileged. We get to just go along for the ride, and we get to observe it and watch it. So I do think that the work is continuing behind the scenes to evaluate areas where they can maybe improve the roster. But I think we're headed to a pretty special place.
Someone quite wise calls it the toy department of life. Do I have that right?
Yeah, for us it is, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, you want a real job, go be a doctor.
Oh, I know.
Sports broadcaster, right?
This is probably where I'll stick. This is where people want me, not necessarily operating. But
there we go.
We can't wait. We are so excited to enjoy 8 more years of Leon Draisaitl here in oil country. And believe it or not, well, it's only just the beginning.